Recently, I lost my job, meaning it's time to cut back on some extra expenses, and one of those could maybe be food. Cooking at home is going to be cheaper than going out to eat a lot, but if you're trying to save money, are you going to be losing quality really quick? That's what I want to test today, so I'm going to be making the exact same recipe using the cheapest ingredients I could find at the store and the most expensive ingredients I could find at the store. I want to see if I end up with a noticeable difference or if it's going to be just the same either way. Today I'm going to be making chocolate chip cookies, and I'm going to be using the recipe that is found on the back of a bag of Nestle chocolate chips. Interestingly though, I'm not actually going to use the Nestle chocolate chips in either recipe because it's neither the cheapest or the more expensive, but I figure that's a good standard recipe. A lot of people have used it, it's pretty familiar, and it's easy to follow. So I'm going to be using that same recipe, and I gave myself some guidelines when I was shopping. I tried to get the cheapest ingredients that I could find, and this is by weight, so it's not like if there was a really small version of something that I wasn't going to get that just because it was cheaper if it meant that by weight it was more expensive. And I also didn't want to get anything that was cheaper or more expensive because it was radically different as an ingredient. There are some kinds of flour I could get that would have cost 2 or 3 times as much as this, but it would no longer be all-purpose wheat flour or white wheat flour. Either way, that's what I tried to do, and I got the cheapest, which all ended up being one brand at the store that I was at, and the most expensive, which has a few different brands. This side was $20.79. This side was $58.87. In fact, this vanilla costs 50 cents less than all of the ingredients on this side combined. So I'm gonna make them, I'm gonna follow the same recipe, and I'm even gonna measure everything on the scale to make sure I'm getting just the same amount of everything. First ingredient is 2 1/4 cups flour. Anyone who's not from America probably thinks it's very silly to use a volume measurement for flour instead of a weight measurement for flour. And you're right, it's absurd. There's no reason to use volume instead of weight when you're baking. That's just silly. But that's the recipe I've got, so what I'm going to do is measure out the 2 1/4 cups. I'm going to check what the weight is, and then I'm going to just use that same amount of weight for the other recipe. I was almost surprised that there was a cheaper baking soda. It's like baking sodas. I mean, Arm & Hammer, where I live, it's kind of the only brand really ever used. Salt. So this one's fun. Yeah, $1, $2.35. Seems like a lot more in terms of volume. All right, 6 grams of expensive salt.
How's it smell?
So this salt, it just says that it's table salt. It smells very floral. It doesn't taste floral. It just tastes like a really good salt. That is weird. Genuinely seems like someone lit a candle around me. All right, so salts, yeah. These just get combined. I've got the dry ingredients mixed. Now I need to do the butter and eggs and sugars. Try softening both of these butters in the microwave just enough that I can actually mix them up well. 3/4 cup sugar. Now this is supposed to be just the plain white sugar. It's not as white, so I'm hoping it works the way it's supposed to. It's a much larger grain and a much stronger molasses flavor in the expensive brown sugar. I was kind of hoping the vanillas would smell more different. They mostly smell the same. Okay, mixing time. It recommends using a mixer to do this step. I don't have a mixer here, so I get to wear myself out using a wooden spoon. There's a reason you're supposed to use a mixer to do this. Whew. Okay, time to start combining ingredients. Love just the repetitive, strenuous motions. It's just my favorite part of all baking, really. All right, I've got both batches mixed up. I've got the low cost ingredients and the high cost ingredients. There's a visual difference. The high cost ingredients mixture is noticeably more yellow. And that doesn't really surprise me because the butter was a darker yellow, the eggs were a darker yellow, the flour isn't as bleached, the sugar is darker brown on both types of sugar. I mean, all of those things together are going to add up to a darker mixture. It's not extreme, but they are different. Now, I know you're not supposed to eat raw cookie dough, but I'm gonna. So I'm just gonna do first a taste test of the cookie doughs to see how different those are. Cheap one. Tastes like a pretty standard fare cookie dough. It's a decent texture, decent taste. The chocolate comes through. See if there's any difference that I can tell with the more expensive ingredients. It is a little bit different. It's hard to explain in what ways. The biggest noticeable difference is the texture caused by the larger grains of sugar. I think both kinds of sugar are larger grain with the expensive ingredients than with the cheap ones. Either way though, what we're gonna do now is refrigerate these for about 30 minutes, let the oven heat up, then we're gonna scoop some of these out. We're gonna cook both of them on the same pan at the same time to make sure that they're getting equal environments in the oven. We've given both batches of cookie dough time to cool down. The oven is heating up. It's time to cook our first batch of these and see how they're gonna turn out. And now that they're not in different colored bowls, you can sort of see the side by side of the difference in the color of the cookie dough. It's not extreme, but it is noticeable. All right, into the oven they go for 10 minutes. I've got the two different cookie recipes and I'm honestly really interested in how different they already look. The cheaper ingredients cookies seem to have cooked a lot more, they've collapsed a bit more, and the edges are much more golden brown. Both of them look cooked. There is just a little bit of browning happening on the more expensive cookie edges. I would say that the basic cookies should actually be cooked for 1 minute less than they have been, whereas the brand cookies could maybe be this length or maybe even a minute longer depending on how you like your cookies. All right, moment of truth, brand versus basic recipe. It's the exact same ingredients measured to the gram on both of them. All right, this is the basic ingredients, the cheaper. Let's see how this cookie is. Chocolate chip cookie. Nice crispiness around the edge. Nice and soft on the inside. I haven't let these cookies cool down all the way. They're still very warm. The chocolate is super gooey and melty, which is great. And overall, I would say that's just, it tastes like a cookie. Or like, yeah, chocolate chip cookie. About what you expect. Maybe a little chewy. All right. Now we try one of the brand cookies. Every ingredient in here is the most expensive version I could find at the store. The texture is definitely different. Yeah, I would definitely say the texture is the biggest difference. But I'm bad at describing these things. It's kind of like fuller of a texture, like there's more to it. And some of that richness that I was talking about in the cookie dough still comes through. It's really hard to qualify exactly what's different about them. Again, I think my result is that if you didn't tell me that I had 2 different batches of cookies, I might just switch between the 2, never noticing a difference. But because I am told there's a difference, I think I can tell. Now maybe if I do a blind taste test, I won't be able to tell, and I might try that, but in my head it feels like I can. We've done our first taste test, but I can't rely just on my own judgment, so we're gonna do several more batches of each of these cookies, and then we're gonna get some friends to help, get their judgments in, including some blind tests. They're not going to know exactly what's different between the batches of cookies, and I wanna see what they think of them. All right, I got some friends here to help me taste test the cookies. So guys, here's the thing. We've got 2 different recipes. I'm not telling you what's different about them. It's just try cookies and see like what you think is different. If you like one better than the other, if there's things about them you like better. I promise both of them are good, very edible, and I've had some of each. Like, you don't have to be worried about it. This isn't one of those weird things where there's something scary in it. It's just good cookies and other good cookies. Let me know if you like one more. That's all there is. Oh, okay. And for camera, these ones were just cooked so they're warm, and these are the ones we cooked earlier so they're not warm.
I'm gonna eat the warm ones.
Have at it. You choose.
We're
do whatever.
But are we eating the same one at the same time?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You guys just eat cookies and let me know after you've eaten if you have formed a strong opinion.
I like that one better. I think it's like the texture is better. I don't know why.
I don't like the texture of that
This one's like extra chewy, like too chewy.
This one has banana in it.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
These are the same cookie.
No. Yeah, you can see
They're not the same.
Look.
Eating them back and forth makes them the same cookie.
No, these ones are different.
I don't like these ones. I mean, these are
There's
good
no
if I didn't
banana.
have those
There's
ones.
no
but-
banana in any of the cookies.
One was melted butter and one was softened butter,
Yeah,
or
those
one
ones
was
are
like, was it
fluffier.
like the creaming method versus not?
I'm gonna try this one again.
Before I
Probably
explain,
flour.
Granule sugar, powdered sugar.
before I explain the difference. So generally, just people's thoughts on the 2. Strong opinions?
Like, don't like.
I prefer.
I mean, I like.
You like these ones?
I do.
I like
What?
these ones.
I prefer the
y'all
softer the
crazy.
cookie, the better. But I'm
Agreed.
only in soft cookie.
I still say they're the same cookie.
Oh my god! Look at this! Look at this! It's like
Yeah, it's gooey and delicious.
It's gooey and delicious.
but it's like
thick and oily.
Give me this!
I agree. It's
Give me
like
this!
too gooey.
it's oily.
Have at it. You can eat the
Disagree.
cookie dough.
It's thick and
that's
so
this
good.
cookie dough for the record.
no. Look at this one.
But it's still
like
cookie dough.
Yeah, it's like too dry.
it's like
No, it's airy. One like a different step in the process,
All
or
right, so here's what it is.
Oh,
These cookies are made with exclusively the lowest cost ingredients at the store.
yeah,
These cookies are made exclusively with the
highest cost.
This is a bougie.
Oh, I'm a
Store.
bougie. I'm
Oh.
bougie.
The biggest price differences, I think, are the butter, whereas this was like $4 for a pound of butter. This was $7 for half a pound of butter. So this butter is way more expensive. And by the way, it's half a pound of butter in the recipe, so this has $7 worth of butter in these cookies.
As you're talking, this is starting to taste worse to me.
Power of suggestion right there. There's some crap cookies. Don't enjoy them.
Yeah.
But I stand by these cookies.
If I received these from a friend, I'd be like, "Oh, you tried to make cookies." But
I would
if I said, if I got these from a friend, I'd be like, "Oh, you know how to make cookies."
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for giving your opinions on my cookies.
Welcome.
So I need to save money. Is ingredients for cookies one of the places I should do that? You know, I do feel that there's a noticeable difference between the two recipes, but I don't think it quite justifies the 2.8 times higher cost of making the batch. I might just go for some sort of mid-range ingredients or see if I can toy with the levels of the cheap recipe and get it to be closer to the good recipe. I was quite surprised in how big of a difference we had between the different prices of cookies. From $6.36 to $17.83 is quite a jump. I do think this result might vary quite a bit depending on what you're making, so if there are other things you'd like to see me try this same experiment with, brand versus basic ingredients, let me know and maybe I'll give it a shot. Guys, thank you for all of your support. If you can like and subscribe and hit that bell, it'll really mean a lot to me, and I want to give a special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. If you want to join as one of my Patreon supporters, the link for that is in the description. We'll see you the next time. Good cookie. Sure.